My name is Tessa Morgan, and I gave 10 years of my life to Morgan Dynamics. I worked my way up from front desk assistant to team lead. I knew the company like the back of my hand. My late father helped build it, brick by brick, alongside his brother, Richard. But after Dad passed, the company changed. So did Uncle Richard. Still, I stayed loyal. I worked holidays, skipped vacations, and trained every new intern. I didn't complain when things got hard. I thought that if I worked hard enough, I'd finally get the promotion I deserved. But on Monday morning, just before the quarterly meeting, I was called into the glass office. Uncle Richard didn't even look up when I stepped in. "Tessa," he said flatly. "We've decided to go in a different direction." I blinked. "What does that mean?" "You're being let go. Effective immediately. No warning. No thank you. Just a termination letter in a company I helped build." And the worst part? As I walked out with my box of memories, I passed the elevator. My cousin Alyssa was inside, smiling, wearing my title on her name badge. I stared at Alyssa's smug smile as the elevator doors closed. She didn't even try to hide it. I clutched the box tighter, feeling like the walls of Morgan Dynamics were watching me fall apart. But I wouldn't let them see me cry. Not yet. Outside, the cold wind hit my face like a slap. I stood there for a full minute, unsure what to do. My car felt unfamiliar. My phone buzzed with a notification from HR, final paycheck processing. Just like that, I was disposable. When I got home, my mom, Joanne, was waiting. She was sipping coffee like it was just another Tuesday. "You're home early," she said. "They let me go," I said quietly. She blinked. "Oh. I see." That was it. No outrage. No sympathy. Just a pause and a sip. That's when I remembered something I'd tried to ignore for years. My mother always thought Alyssa was more polished, more professional, more promotable. I went to my room and opened my laptop. There were hundreds of emails. Documents. Schedules. All the proof of the work I had done, most of it alone. And suddenly, something inside me shifted. If they wanted a war, I would give them one. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I opened every folder I had backed up over the years: client files, email threads, timelines, proposals. The things I created that Alyssa would now be pretending she built. My hands shook, but my mind was calm. The next morning, I made 3 decisions. I wouldn't beg for my job back. I wouldn't warn them I was coming. I would get everything I deserved, without stooping to their level. First, I emailed Marcus Bell. He was head of HR, quiet, thoughtful. Always respectful. "I'd like to schedule a confidential conversation," I typed. "Off the record." He replied within 10 minutes, "My lunch hour is free. You name the place." By noon, we were sitting at a small cafe 2 blocks from the office. Marcus looked tired. "I'm sorry about what happened," he said. "Are you?" I asked. He sighed. "It wasn't my decision. But I have something you need to see." He handed me a printout, internal memos. Meetings I was excluded from. The date of my termination, dated 2 months before I was let go. They had been planning this for a while. And Alyssa? She had been sitting in those meetings. I stared at the paper. They planned this before the last team retreat? Marcus nodded. Richard said he needed fresh blood. But I think he meant family loyalty. I folded the paper and tucked it into my purse. "Thank you, Marcus." "There's more," he said. He lowered his voice. "Alyssa signed off on budgets you created. She's claiming them as her own." Of course she was. That night, I sat in my room, surrounded by sticky notes, timelines, and files. If I wanted to take back what was mine, I had to be smart. First, I needed leverage. Real, undeniable proof. And I had it. One of my projects, a corporate strategy proposal called Phase Rise, had been my baby. I had the original drafts, the emails, the timestamps. And now Alyssa was using it in her leadership presentation. Except her version had my name removed from every slide. I sent an email to Danielle Ross, a corporate investigator I met once at a leadership summit. Sharp, clean, and fierce. I wrote. Subject, confidential IP theft case. Body, I think I have a situation. I need your discretion. The reply came 5 minutes later. Let's talk. I'm in. Danielle met me at a private co-working space uptown. She wore a gray blazer and carried a leather folder like it was a weapon. Her eyes scanned every detail as I spoke. You're telling me, she said slowly, that your company stole your intellectual property, fired you without cause, and handed your role to a family member? I nodded. Do you have proof? I slid the USB across the table. She opened her laptop and began scrolling through folders. Timelines. Slide decks. Email threads. Voice recordings of meetings where I presented Phase Rise. Alyssa wasn't even in the room. Danielle whistled. This isn't just shady. It's illegal. I leaned in. I want 2 things. 1, credit. 2, accountability. She smiled. Then you came to the right person. We shook hands. As I left the building, I passed a digital billboard playing Morgan Dynamics' new campaign, Building Futures Together. I laughed to myself. Because I wasn't just going to take back my future, I was going to take theirs too. I walked home with a calm I hadn't felt in days. Danielle would handle the legal strategy. My job now was to keep quiet, observe, and prepare. I started checking Morgan Dynamics' public statements, social media, press releases, anything that hinted at what Alyssa was doing with my stolen work. It didn't take long. Alyssa was scheduled to speak at an industry innovation summit. The headline? The Rise Project, a vision for the future, my project, renamed but still wearing my skeleton. Danielle called that evening. This presentation could be your golden ticket. If she uses your slides and ideas in a public forum, it becomes evidence, live and undeniable. I leaned back in my chair. Then I guess I need a ticket to that summit. The next morning, I registered under a different name. Paid for it myself. Front row seat. A clear view of the enemy. I looked at my phone and saw a message from Marcus. I heard about the summit. You might want to be there early. The press will be perfect. Let the cameras roll. The day of the summit arrived like a courtroom verdict. I dressed in black, simple, sharp, confident. No dramatic makeup. Just wore paint in the form of eyeliner. I walked into the conference hall and found my seat near the front. Name tag said T. Monroe. Fake name. Real purpose. The lights dimmed. The crowd hushed. Then, Alyssa walked on stage. Polished. Smiling. Wearing a suit she probably borrowed from a high-end stylist. She stood behind the podium and began her pitch. Let me introduce you to the Rise Project, an initiative I've developed to reshape future-facing corporate culture. I didn't blink. She clicked to the next slide. There it was, my Phase Rise branding. Slightly edited. Fonts changed. But the backbone? All mine. The content? Identical. Danielle had her phone recording from the opposite aisle. I took stills on mine. Every frame was a receipt. Alyssa was getting applause for a lie. A theft. But this was the last time she'd ever clap for herself in public. Because her fall would be loud and permanent. After the summit, I met Danielle in a parking garage 3 blocks away. She handed me a flash drive. This has everything, video, transcript, timestamps. I nodded. Is it enough? Oh, it's more than enough, she said. And with your documentation? It's airtight. Over the next few days, Danielle filed a formal claim with the U.S. Copyright Office and sent a cease and desist letter to Morgan Dynamics. She also submitted evidence to the Corporate Ethics Board. But we weren't done yet. I want the public to know, I said. Careful, she warned. Defamation laws are tricky. I won't accuse, I said. I'll tell my story. The truth. So I wrote a blog post, how I got fired so my family could steal my work, and why I'm not staying silent. I didn't name names. But I didn't have to. Within 24 hours, it had over 50,000 views. Within 72 hours, tech blogs picked it up. Then LinkedIn. Then a podcast. And then, HR from Morgan Dynamics reached out. We'd like to speak with you. I smiled at the message. Now they wanted a conversation. It was too late for conversations. The official email came 3 days later. Subject, Restorative Dialogue Invitation. Sender, Richard Morgan. I didn't even open it at first. But curiosity got the better of me. The message was classic corporate spin. Let's explore a path toward mutual understanding and resolution. We value your past contributions. I forwarded it to Danielle. Her reply, he's scared. Don't speak to them alone. We scheduled a legal mediation meeting instead. Neutral ground. 2 lawyers. No cameras. When I walked in, Richard was already there. He didn't stand. Didn't smile. Joanne was with him, my mother. She looked older than I remembered. Why are you here? I asked her. I just wanted to make sure you weren't emotional, she whispered. I ignored her. Richard leaned forward. Tessa. This isn't necessary. Your family. I raised an eyebrow. I was family when you fired me. Now I'm evidence. He didn't speak after that. Danielle laid out our terms, full credit, public acknowledgement, settlement for damages, and an apology. Richard didn't agree. Not yet. But he would. Because what came next would leave him no choice. That night, Danielle posted a statement on her firm's official page. Clean, sharp, and fully legal. Our firm is representing a former corporate strategist whose intellectual property was used without authorization. This is a matter of professional ethics, not emotion. We expect accountability. The post went viral within hours. By morning, Morgan Dynamics' public relations team was in full panic mode. And then, the board stepped in. A call from Marcus confirmed it. There's an emergency meeting scheduled. Internal investigation already started. They're turning on Richard? I asked. They have no choice, he said. You were popular with the staff. People are talking. And those RISE project files? HR found originals, with your metadata still attached. Bingo. Alyssa was silent online. But it wouldn't last. The truth was burning too hot to hide. And now, for the first time in weeks, I stood in front of a mirror and smiled. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about restoring what was stolen. And reminding everyone who I really was. The internal investigation moved quickly. By the end of the week, Danielle received an email from the board's legal team. They confirmed the metadata matched my original files. Alyssa had made minor edits, but the foundation, structure, and even phrases were identical. Danielle smiled. This is open and shut now. But I wasn't ready to stop there. I wrote another post. This time, I told the full story, still no names, but it was clear who I meant. When a family member becomes your boss, the line between personal and professional blurs. But when they steal your work and replace you with someone from the inside, that's not blurred. That's betrayal. The post exploded. Industry leaders commented. Former employees of Morgan Dynamics started sharing their own stories of being pushed out for preferred hires. It wasn't just about me anymore. It became a movement. Richard tried to issue a public statement. It only made things worse. He called the situation a miscommunication and said, "No one individual owns innovation." That phrase was ripped apart online. Even the podcast I once admired titled their latest episode, "Gaslighting in the Workplace, When Your Boss is Also Your Family." I didn't say a word. I didn't have to anymore. The next hit came quietly. Danielle called. "Check the company's leadership page." I pulled it up. Alyssa's name was gone. No announcement. No goodbye post. Just erased. "They're hoping no one notices," Danielle said. But people noticed. A former intern shared a side-by-side screenshot of the old site and the new one. The post was captioned, "When stealing someone's work doesn't work out." It went viral in hours. I sat on my couch, phone buzzing, messages pouring in. Then Joanne, my mother, called. "I just want to know, are you happy now?" she asked. There was no emotion in her voice. No sadness. Just accusation. "I'm not happy," I replied. "But I'm free." She hung up. No goodbye. No support. No apology. But I didn't need her to understand. Because for the first time, I wasn't looking for her approval. I had mine. Morgan Dynamics issued a press release 2 days later. "We recognize the need to strengthen our internal review procedures and commit to honoring the contributions of all team members, past and present." They didn't say my name. But the world knew who they meant. Danielle called to go over settlement terms. They're offering full credit, 6 months back pay, and a non-disparagement clause. I want the credit. And I want the money. But I'm not signing anything that silences me, I said. Danielle nodded. Then we pushed back. We countered with a clean demand. Full public acknowledgement. One-time compensation. No gag order. They agreed. The next morning, Morgan Dynamics posted on LinkedIn. "We apologize to former strategist Tessa Morgan for the misattribution of her work. Her innovation and dedication shaped our current direction, and we thank her for her contributions. It wasn't perfect. But it was public. And it was permanent." After the announcement, something strange happened. People started messaging me, not just coworkers, but strangers. Young women in tech. Burned-out employees from other companies. Even an ex-employee from Morgan Dynamics who'd left years ago because of family favoritism. They all said the same thing. "Thank you for speaking up." I hadn't planned to become anyone's voice. I just wanted what was mine. But now that I had it, I realized something. This story wasn't just about revenge. It was about survival. About dignity. About making sure no one else had to be erased in silence. Danielle and I agreed to write a feature article together. How to protect your work in a family-run workplace. It got picked up by Forbes. Richard? Quiet. Gone from public view. Alyssa? No trace online. Her LinkedIn was deactivated. Me? I had job offers, interview requests, and something better than all of that. A clear conscience. It's been 6 months. I live in a new city now. I work for a startup that values voice over bloodline. They didn't care who my uncle was. They cared what I could build. And I'm building again. Not just strategies, but a name that stands on its own. I still get emails sometimes. Was it worth it? People ask. Every single second. Because this time, I didn't let loyalty silence me. I didn't let family define me. And I didn't let power bully me. If you're reading this, and you've ever been told to stay quiet, to let it go, to not stir things up, hear me when I say. You don't owe anyone your silence. You owe yourself your peace. And sometimes, peace doesn't come from walking away. It comes from walking back in, with evidence, with fire, and with purpose. Just like I did. I didn't expect to hear from Marcus again. But one afternoon, an email popped up. Hope you're well. Would love to grab coffee sometime, off the record. I paused. Marcus had been the only person inside Morgan Dynamics who didn't treat me like a threat. He gave me that first piece of evidence when I needed it most. We met at a coffee shop by the river. He wore a hoodie this time, not the stiff suits from HR. You look good, he said. I feel good. He smiled. You know, you gave people inside that company the courage to speak up. Did they? I asked. He nodded. A few filed complaints. One person resigned. The board is watching everything now. That's something, I said. He stirred his coffee. I left, too. I blinked. You did? Last week. I realized I didn't want to protect people like Richard anymore. I smiled. So what's next for you? He shrugged. Maybe a new start. Like you. There was silence for a beat. But not the awkward kind. The hopeful kind. Maybe some things weren't done yet. The article Danielle and I wrote kept climbing in views. By week 2, it had over 1 million reads. Then came the invitation. Subject, TEDx inquiry, workplace loyalty versus personal ethics. I read it twice. They wanted me to speak. Me. Tessa Morgan. The girl who got fired by her own uncle. I sent the details to Danielle. Her response, do it. This is bigger than them now. I spent days preparing. Not to relive the pain, but to turn it into power. I wasn't there to bash Richard or Alyssa. I was there to show others how to fight back without losing themselves. When the day came, I stood on stage, hands shaking. But as I spoke, the room grew still. Every sentence I said was a mirror for someone watching. And when I said, sometimes the hardest thing isn't standing up to strangers, it's standing up to the people who raised you, I saw someone in the front row wipe a tear. Afterward, a young woman hugged me. My brother's my manager, she whispered. I thought I was alone. You're not, I said. No one has to be. A week after the TEDx talk, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. The envelope was cream-colored, the handwriting careful. Inside was a folded note. I was wrong. I didn't protect you when I should have. I let pride and fear make me small. I'm sorry, Tessa. Not for what you did, but for how long you had to do it alone. No signature. But I recognized the handwriting. It was my mother's. I sat with the letter for a long time. Part of me wanted to call her. Ask what changed. But I didn't need to. Sometimes, closure doesn't come from conversation. It comes from someone finally owning their silence. I tucked the letter in a drawer, not out of bitterness, but out of peace. Because now, I didn't need anyone's apology to validate my worth. At my new company, they let me build a team. And this time, I did it my way. I hired women. Firstgens. People who were overlooked before. I taught them how to protect their ideas, file their copyrights, save their evidence. We called ourselves Team Rise. Yes, after the project they tried to steal. Because I wasn't going to hide that name anymore. One day, my assistant came in. You've got a visitor. I raised an eyebrow. Scheduled? No. But he said you might want to see him. It was Richard. Older. Thinner. No suit. We sat across from each other in my glass office, just like old times, but reversed. I came to say thank you, he said. I said nothing. He continued, losing everything made me realize what I never valued. And what was that? I asked. You. I nodded. Good to know. He stood. I hope you keep building. I will. I built something better. And I didn't take revenge. I reclaimed what was mine. If you've ever been betrayed by the people who should have protected you, I hope my story reminds you. You can lose everything, and still win in the end. Just like I did. The day my Forbes interview dropped, I was sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset. The headline was bold. From fired to fearless, how one strategist reclaimed her power. They told my story fairly. Fact-checked every quote. Highlighted how I rebuilt my career, and didn't hide the fact that my family had once tried to erase me. People flooded my inbox again. But this time, it wasn't just thank yous. It was job offers, partnerships, and speaking invites. I had become something I never imagined, a voice. I texted Marcus. Still looking for your next move? He replied immediately. Always. A week later, he joined my team, this time, under my leadership. And we didn't look back. Months passed. Team Rise grew. We launched a mentorship program for young professionals, especially those in toxic work environments or family-run companies. We called it Project Protect. It was funded by our own profits. Because when you've been burned, you don't just rebuild for yourself, you build fireproof homes for others too. One afternoon, I walked into our HQ and saw something on the wall, a hand-drawn quote someone taped up. She remembered who she was, and the game changed. I smiled. Because that was it. That was the whole story in one line. I didn't become someone new. I just stopped pretending I was less than I really was. Joanne visited my office one day. No warning. Just showed up. She looked older, but softer. Worn down by silence. I saw your interview, she said quietly. I nodded. I figured you did. She hesitated. I'm proud of you. I looked at her. For the first time in years, I saw her not as a mother, but as a woman trying to understand her own regrets. I wish I'd stood up for you, she added. I nodded again. Me too. There wasn't a hug. There didn't need to be. Just a shared moment. A fragile thread slowly stitching a wound shut. She left without asking for anything. Not forgiveness. Not a second chance. And somehow, that made the visit mean even more. Alyssa never resurfaced publicly. Last I heard, she moved to another state. Working under a different name, away from the spotlight. I don't hate her anymore. I understand her better than I want to admit. She wanted approval. Power. Validation. The same things I once wanted. But I chose a different path. She built her legacy by borrowing. I built mine by bleeding for it. And when people talk about the Rise Project now, no one thinks of her. They think of me. They think of what it means to rise from betrayal and still lead with integrity. And honestly, that's the best revenge of all. This is where my story ends. Not in flames. Not in lawsuits. But in legacy. I built something that can't be taken from me, not because I fought harder, but because I finally stopped asking for permission to exist. If you're out there, reading this, maybe you were the Tessa in your workplace. Or maybe you're still silent, waiting, afraid, unsure if your voice will matter. Let me tell you. It does. Your story is yours to protect. Your talent is not a favor to others. And your silence is not loyalty, it's just the weight of their comfort on your back. So lift it off. Say the thing. Take the risk. Reclaim what was stolen. And never forget, you don't need to destroy anyone to rise. You just have to stop letting them bury you.